Well, good morning, everyone, and I have with me today the founder of Contiki Holidays, John Anderson. John's over in Logan at the moment at the Logan Expo, and he's our keynote speaker for today. And I've just grabbed him for 5 minutes, and I'm going to ask him a few questions in relation to his business, Contiki Holidays. Good morning, John.
Hi, Glenis.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Delighted to be here.
Excellent, wonderful. So, John, you've had a successful life in your business, and what is it about your business that has made you so successful? Can you pick a couple of things along the way that you would be able to say this was a milestone?
Yeah, it's been a major journey, I can tell you. In fact, the brand Contiki celebrates its 50th anniversary this year, so it's been going 50 years. But really, what made the business so successful right from the beginning, I suppose in a nutshell, I picked on a product and a service that people wanted to buy. And so in those very early days, I went out with an idea and created a product, a unique product, which of course now has become an iconic brand name.
I know. And John, you left New Zealand when you were 23, I believe, and you actually started your business in Europe. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, I arrived in Europe with no money. I got across there all right. And when I arrived in Europe, I had just £25. So I had to find a way to see Europe. And that's how I had the idea. And I got a group of other young people together, and I took them around Europe. And at the end of that first tour, it was so successful, I took the tour around again, but the passengers actually paid for the tour, so I got a free ride. But at the end of that first year, I'd seen Europe a couple of times and owned the little minibus. And that's when I knew I had a product and a service that people wanted. And from then on, of course, it's just history.
And so the first year, was there any major hiccups in that first year that, that stand out? Because we have some listeners here and viewers that would actually really like to know if they could get the heads up on something in the first year.
Yes, the first thing is to have an idea. So I found the idea, and then, of course, is to make that idea happen. So I had the idea, then I had to put down a plan. How could I actually make this into a reality? So my biggest problem was to put down the plan, then see how I could implement it, and then carry it through. And having that self-belief that my idea would work. Never have a moment of doubt. In fact, entrepreneurs are very much like that. We're not very negative people. We always think, of course we can do it, and we're actually quite dangerous because we can get carried away a bit. So my biggest problem was to keep that belief and deliver what I initially promised. And in the first year, I did it. And at the end of the year, of course, I'd seen Europe for nothing.
Fantastic, that's excellent. So what about the growing? Like you built an international brand, so first year you had a few hiccups, then after that there must have been a couple of strategies that you would have put in place to really take it to the next level.
Yes, it was a couple of years before I really realised I had a business that had a future, because I actually created a new product. Nobody ever run, in those early days, was a camping tour around Europe for young people, particularly for Australians and New Zealanders. And it's once I realised after about the second year I had a business, that's when I really put down a long-term plan. Now, for me, a long-term plan is only 2 years. Yeah. A lot of people say 5 or 10. But when things are changing so quickly, you can't look too far ahead. So I always looked a couple of years ahead and said, right, I'm here now. How do I get it to the next stage? And then right through the company's history, we took it from point to point to point. So you expand and then you stop, then you consolidate, and then you take it to the next stage, and then to the next stage. And of course now the company is worldwide, operating in 46 countries, but it was taken on a step-to-step stage, and it was having that continued belief that the product that we initially started with suited the market, but we constantly innovated as well because the market keeps changing. So I started off with a 12-week tour, but then the market was coming. They said, oh, we want shorter tours. So then we brought on 2 and 3 and 4 week. So it was always constantly innovating to make sure that you were up to date with what your potential customers wanted. And I started off with just supplying the product to Australians and New Zealanders. But then I realised the rest of the world travelled as well. So why did I take it to Canada and America? And now the sales are, of course, all around the world.
John, that was great. Now, during your growth and actually throughout your whole business experience, it sounds to me like you were doing this alone. Did you ever have a coach or a mentor to actually help you through? And Do you think that would have helped you get there faster?
Yes, I often say to people, don't try and do things on your own. Try and either get a partner on board so you can share the decision making and the capital, the risk and capital. But if you can get a mentor or get a company that can help you early on, rather than you try and learn, then get somebody else that's been there and done it to tell you, well, that works and that doesn't work. So I'm a great believer in taking on somebody that can give you that first step up and tell you just, what are the right things to do and the wrong things to do. Somebody that's been there and done it before.
Yeah, I totally get that. And your brand, you built an international brand. How important is the brand in a business?
Well, Glenis, I'm glad you asked that, because I believe the brand, next to its people, the company's people, is its most important asset. You see, a brand is where the value is. The brands that are around today don't just happen to be around. They've got a history, and brands have had a history of character and trial and error. But a lot of people trust a brand. Actually, Contiki's brand's now been around for 50 years because people trust it. So I say that the brand is extremely important to protect and enhance, to the point where in Australia, for example, the Contiki brand has a 92% awareness top of head, up there with McDonald's. And it didn't just happen by accident. And it's all about a quality image, delivering what the customer wants, innovating, consistency. All those elements make a strong brand.
You're a credit to business in general and how you've actually done this, John. Fantastic. Now, just one last question. Do you have a motto or something that you live by that you could offer to the business community as a whole?
Oh, well, it's something I live by all the time. Well, my daily one is live life to the fullest. But I always say give things a go. If you don't give things a go, you'll never know. In other words, I used to say, take a risk. If you don't take a risk, then you'll never know. And I took an enormous number of risks, and a lot of them failed. But if I hadn't tried in the first place, I would never know. And so always give something. If you've got that belief that you've got an idea or a service that the customer wants, well, give it a go, and you'll come across all sorts of pitfalls along the way, but you've got to have that self-belief to hold on to that idea till eventually it comes to fruition. And once you get success, success builds on success, but you've got to constantly work on your business all the time. You just can't ever get complacent. Quite often businesses that are doing well get complacent, and before they even know it, their competitors have passed them. So you've always got to be thinking ahead. You've always got to be looking for new initiatives that will make your product or service better than the other guys. As a matter of interest, I had 26 competitors. I went after them and I knocked every single one out but two. One I bought and one I left. And I knocked them out by making my product and service far superior to theirs, and I had a point of difference. I had a strong brand, and I had a product that I kept renewing that customer wants. And now, of course, the product is sold worldwide.
John, thank you very much for your time. You're an inspiration. And I just want to also just reiterate what John has said, is that when you actually know your why and you know why you're in business, then that belief is there, your enthusiasm, your commitment is there, and that ultimately gives you your passion to take your business to the next level and beyond. Thank you.